Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Look who's here. Look who's here. I actually have Joe from Behind the Veil here with me.
Hi,
Um,
everybody.
I, I am so glad you're here. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
We've been sort of trying to get something together about this for a
yeah,
couple of months, and
yeah,
so I'm very happy about that.
yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm going to let's see who's here. We
Hmm.
have Chris, Elemental Cardomancy. Hello,
Hi,
Chris.
Chris.
And rumor has it that I will be a guest on Chris's channel on
Ooh.
Thursday. So be over there and like and subscribe. Heather from Indigo Chrysalis Tarot. Hello.
Hi, Heather.
Kristen Louise, who has said she has been enjoying your mental health videos.
Oh, thanks,
And
Kristen.
so, um, links to all of Joe's contact is below with links to your actual playlists, and they
Yeah,
are
thank
quite
you.
quite good. Are you a professional filmmaker? Because that's how it
No.
feels. I mean, I'm like I watched that one last night.
Oh, the one I did, that took me ages, but yeah,
Oh, it turned out so very
yeah.
good. I was watching it, and Jeffrey, my fiance, was listening, and he's like going, well, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, yes, it does. So, um, Heather said, I have several mental health diagnoses and I'm looking forward to this live very much. I am glad you're here. Oh, Joe behind the veil is here.
Me, yeah. I snuck in.
Yes, Teresa is here. Hi,
Hi,
Teresa.
Teresa.
And oh, my chat just jumped like massively. So it's okay. I'm just catching up. Shauna is here, Six of Wands. Hello.
Hi, Shauna.
Nice to see
The
you.
Queen.
The Queen, yes, you have a very good memory. Beth Aspasia Rising is
Hi, Beth.
here. Jonathan Daly.
Hi,
Joan
Jonathan.
Barrett. Hello.
Hi, Joan.
Um, and look at this. Okay. Very important and much needed discussion. Of course, yes. Patrice is here. Hello,
Hi,
Patrice.
Patrice.
Glad to see you. And yeah, well, and Kristen Louise is like, well, you're a filmmaker now. And 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 I think one of the things that's interesting is I knew making videos was a bit of a challenge, but until I actually started to create content, I never realized how much of a challenge
Yeah.
it is. So share the love. And Ben from Beneficial Tarot is here.
Hi,
Hello.
Ben.
And oh, and by the way, if you need a lift, sometimes you need a lift, and YouTube is helpful for that. Ben on Beneficial Tarot's channel, he has done a series of videos that are just hilarious, and the Two of Cups video is a recent one. Jeffrey and I were I watched them, and then I made Jeffrey watch them before he went to work. Um, I didn't make him. I just had it in front of him, and he stopped trying to get ready for work, and we were both laughing. So I think one of those things, laughter is an important
Good
thing.
medicine.
So it's very good medicine. Um, so thank you for being here. And this is our working towards well-being conversation. This working towards well-being, for those of you who have followed both of my channels, I had the Hermit Mage and Tarot Stash. But on February 22nd of 2021, I hosted a working towards well-being conversation where I had 6 guests on, and we were answering the questions that we are answering today. Um, and we have there's a playlist linked below, so it's just been great to have the conversation. And I know Joe, you've been having this conversation with Martin,
Mm.
with Tarot in the City.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to stop talking for a moment and give my guests an opportunity to say hello and share anything you would like to share with um,
With the
people
chat.
in chat.
Um, in case anybody doesn't know, I'm a psychologist and I'm also a tarot enthusiast. I use tarot for myself. I don't read for other people. I don't think I've been doing it long enough to even think about that, but I don't know if I'd want to anyway. But I'm really passionate about well-being, I suppose, being in the field that I work in, but also about trying to sort of, I don't know if it's normalize is the right word, but to in some of my videos I've sort of said, I think we're kind of fed sort of information that, we're either we should either be happy or something is really wrong, whereas I think mental health is much more of a spectrum, and I think that's okay. Life is difficult, and we're not robots. We feel things, but I think we're kind of, I don't know if people, we kind of set these expectations that we should be happy all the time. Otherwise, there's something wrong with us intrinsically. And I don't think that's true. So I try and, I suppose, normalize it a bit, that life has ups and downs, and we go up and down with it.
Yes.
So that's my thing.
Yes. I will say to that, when I was in therapy and taking a lot of postgraduate training, I learned that it is when we shut off a single emotion, we actually shut off all of them. So if I am trying not to be angry, what I'm doing is I'm lessening and I'm deadening those and my ability to recognize those. And that was one of the things that was really eye-opening, because you said it very well. Life is a spectrum, and everything on that spectrum is quite beautiful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, Jane the Seeker is here. Hello, Jane. Joan Barrett, or Barrett, yes. I'm just catching up. We have our first question. Oh, you don't read for other people, understandable. Do you ever suggest to your therapy patients that they try reading for self-help development, for their self-help development?
I wouldn't personally, just because of where I work, because I don't think that would be ethical for me to suggest that. I think if, yeah, I just don't think it would be ethical. It's not because I don't think it's that tarot is unethical. Obviously I use it and I think it's really effective, but for me to suggest it, because of where I work, the approaches we use have to be based on evidence and research and studies. So with anything, if I was to start recommending things that were outside of that, I could get into a bit of trouble.
Yes.
So
Yes.
whilst I feel it's an effective self-development tool, I can't really recommend it because of where I work, I'm afraid.
But well, and I was telling Joe this, when I was in therapy, I had been doing tarot readings for myself, and I happened to mention to my therapist that I had done a tarot reading, and she made it okay for us to use that as a tool to help me understand what was going on. And it was really powerful for me. And I was the one who brought it up,
Mm.
and not her.
I think
But
if it was like you, I think if it was somebody who came to me privately and they said that, I'd say, yeah, let's have a look at it then. That I'd be open to that. I think, but when you're working within an organization, it's a bit trickier, I think.
yes, yes. And there are rules and regulations for lots of reasons, and it's best to follow those. I think, yeah, it's important to follow those. Patrice said, as a highly feeling person, I so appreciate this conversation. Thank you. there's such a horrendous stigma about mental health care, and people are afraid to reach out and ask for help. Yes,
Mm.
it's like that here in the United States.
Is it?
And
I mean, over here we really struggle, I think, with having enough resources, like mental health resources for people. Is it like that in the States? There's just not enough to
no, we
around.
actually have a pretty good
Mm.
we have quite a few options. The place that I worked had an employee assistance program where people could
Mm.
get up to 5 free visits
Yeah.
for each need. And
Ah.
that it was not just mental health, but it's also family counseling, relationship counseling. Uh,
Mm.
uh, you could talk to somebody about getting a will, and it was all of these things that were it was assistance, things that were
Yeah.
needed to help an employee be their best. I was a supervisor, Joe, and a lot of times when I would listen to people and I would hear, there would be little bells going off, you might need to seek a professional. And I would
Mm.
say, we offer this as an organization. We just get from them the number of people who have used which service, not who has done it, anything like that. And
Yeah.
you may want to consider it. And then I would share, I've used it. I used it during grief processing when my
Mm.
parents died, and when previous partners have died. So it's really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think an important thing is to know what's available,
Yeah.
and to ask
Yeah.
and to ask. So Jane said that her pharmacy is out of her antidepressant. I'm sorry, Jane. I want to know, should we all run away because of that, Jane? I'm just kidding. I get my tiny feet out tomorrow because I'm on Jane's channel tomorrow. I'll get my
Oh.
tiny feet out and we'll run with that. So okay, looking at um, art therapy is very powerful and should be a tool used in all places that offer mental health therapy.
Mm.
Art therapy was an aspect of counseling that I was considering going for another
Mm.
degree. So,
I think
so
they I think that is I mean that's definitely a qualification over here that, and I've worked in places where there's been an art therapist, and I've always
hmm
thought, oh, that looks so much fun, so creative. And I think that's why tarot is so appealing, because it's that kind of visual
yes,
element, isn't it?
yeah, yes, that's very true. When I was in college, the art school that I went to had an art therapy program,
Mm.
which I found very interesting. And one of my friends did uh, she followed that. So she was
Yeah.
doing in art therapy. Um, okay. Jane is okay today. Pamela is here. Hello, Pamela. Just
Hi,
got back
Pamela.
home. Been waiting for this chat. Thank you. Ben from Beneficial Tarot has asked, question, Joe, have you find tarot a useful tool for your own well-being, and what got you started using tarot as a self-help tool?
I'll try and make this story really short because it's a bit. Um, so I do find it helpful, and it all started 3 years ago. I was feeling a bit lost in life. I was actually having therapy, which I found kind of helpful, but after it finished, I still felt something was missing. And we went on holiday, and there was a tarot reader offering readings, and I thought, I've never had a reading before. I'm going to go and see this person, and because I'm really curious and I want to know what
Mhm,
they've got to say. And I had no idea. I mean, I found out since that he was using the thoth. Didn't know what it was when I sat down in front of it, but it was just
mhm,
such an amazing experience, because it didn't tell me anything I didn't know, but it just opened my mind up to the things I was experiencing. Just the imagery really opened up a lot for me, and I just thought, this feels like such an amazing tool to use. And
mhm,
then I didn't. I bought a Rider Waite Smith and a thoth, more for the souvenir, kind of the thoth, to remember the experience. But and then
mhm,
they just sat on my bookshelf 3 years because I kind of never got around to learning. And then it was last year that I decided I'd kind of got back into a headspace of struggling a bit with, oh, what am I doing with my life? And I thought, right, I need to learn tarot, and I did. And I'm so glad I did, because it's once it clicked in my head, it was just amazing just to be able to look at the cards and go, oh, I know what that means. So that's how I got into it.
Thank you for that. And I love that moment of having someone else or something else confirm what I have been feeling. It's a bit of
Mm,
validation. And I know for me, that's very important.
mm,
I want to know, okay, what you're feeling is real
yeah,
and
yeah,
what you're feeling is valid.
yeah.
So, um, and then yeah. So
I'm
I'm
just
getting
plugging
ahead
in
of
my
myself.
laptop before it dies. Hang on.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
So I'm still
Um,
here. Forgotten to
Shauna
plug it
said,
in.
"My work is covering 20 visits a year, and so grateful. I am so glad about that." And Heather said, "Peer support programs and agencies are growing every day here. I'm gradually gaining positive momentum." Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And Beth said, "I don't think we have a very good system here in the U.S. Mental health funding got uh, dismantled by Reagan, but never got back on track. People who have money can still go." Yeah, and I think I was very fortunate through work to have that, and work made it. And Tara Living with Manasa, hello, has an
Right.
EAP, an employee assistance
Mm.
program. So.
I
Um,
think I think here in the UK, it kind of, I don't know if it kind of depends which area of the country you're in. Like where I live, because I used to manage a befriending service for people with mental health difficulties, and we did have groups where people would just come along and just socialize, which was really good. But the
mhm.
funding got cut. And
Yes.
I don't know if it's just round here, because I don't know if in other areas of the country it's a bit different, but it seems quite hit and miss. It's a bit of, they call it a postcode lottery in the UK, because depending on where you live is a bit kind of, it depends on actually what services are available.
Hmm. Yes.
So yeah, it's a bit
Yes.
tricky.
Yes. Okay, I'm hearing this. Thank you, Kristen Louise. You make a great art therapist. So, uh,
You need to be a tiny hands therapist.
I do.
I
I do. I
don't know
mean,
if Jane would like that though.
I mean, Jane, even tiny hands can draw. Actually, I think what it is people need to get out of their own way and stop putting a value judgment on what they're doing. But that's just me.
Mm.
Hashtag, for entertainment purposes, hashtag I'm not a professional. So reading tarot cards to me is like dream interpretation. Yes, I can see that. Um, Zane, Tarot Token Witchery is here. Hello, Zane.
Hi,
Thank you
Zane.
for being here. Zane, Kristen Louise, Zane and Kristen Louise were both involved in the first round of working towards well-being. So this is pretty incredible. And I would love, and by the way, I will be very clear with this. If anybody would like me to come on their channel or to have them come on my channel and talk about these things, I'm down with that. Just let me know. I think it's an ongoing conversation that needs to go on. By the way, Joe, if you see any chat that you want to comment on, please let me know.
Okay.
I'm like that. My therapist loves my connection to crystals, art, and tarot cards. I bring cards to appointments to share with her. She encourages me to keep reading. That's cool.
Hmm.
Liz is here. Calla
Hi,
Lily,
Liz.
hello. Um, Lovely people. Lisa Stevens, hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Good, Heather. I look forward to that. Ange, Tiny Trinkets and Tarot.
Hi, Ange.
And okay. Healing Through Tarot Instagram. It's a psychologist who uses and advocates using tarot for mental
Oh,
health
cool.
work.
I'll
There
check that out.
are, yeah, um, there are a lot of places that you can get information about tarot and mental health and well-being. Um, Use your brain. um, and press pause. If it doesn't feel like it's helping you, then don't do it. Don't, you know, a caveat, caveat, caveat for entertainment purposes only, because sometimes information out there is not accurate. Seek a professional to get that. So, what has helped me the most is the book Dare by Barry McDowell, A New Way to End Anxiety and Stop Panic Attacks.
Hmm.
I am glad that that worked for you. I am not familiar with that.
No, I've not heard of that.
So, um, Tony is here. Hello, Tony.
Hi,
Thank
Tony.
you. And I think one of the things you had a really good discussion with Martin. And actually, in one of your videos, you talked about and by the way, I'm putting Joe on the spot, and I've given her the out. So if you look at panic run across her face, it's because
Yeah, I don't
I've
have a
not
good poker
prepared.
face.
Yeah, we have not started answering the 5 questions that we have, but um, sometimes books are written, and I find them to be not as helpful as I had expected.
Mm,
And I think the big thing with everything associated with mental health and well-being requires that I, as the person who's working toward maintaining his well-being, do the work associated with it.
yeah. I think I don't know why, and I've been getting a lot of videos suggested by YouTube about manifesting, which is really bothering me because I I have a problem when people are saying uh, you can just think things into being. If you want something to sort itself out, just think it. And I think that is just, for me, that's so misleading, and you're doing people a disservice, and
Yes.
you're lying, because there is, and when you actually dig into it, these people are doing things to get what they want. But the kind of the tagline is, just think it into being and it will happen. And some of these books, I think, set really kind of unrealistic expectations about what you have to do. And the problem is, I mean, I remember, I think I joked to Martin, if I wrote a book, no one would buy it, because it'd be so it'd be like, yeah, you need to, there's no magic formula to this book, you need to do the work. And nobody wants to see that. People want that
Yes.
quick, oh, I need this sorting, I need this fixing.
Yes.
And I think that's a kind of just a way to sell books, isn't it? I don't think it's um yeah, it's just a way to kind of get people to buy them. And yeah, I don't think it's realistic.
I don't think it's realistic either. And so I know I tend to be a very positive person overall. But boy, when I get that intuitive nudge that I'm
Mm,
like going, something's not right about this, I've learned
mm,
over the last 10 or so years to pay attention to that. And I think a lot of people have that. So,
mm,
but the other thing is if you find something that works for you, then you keep working with it and you keep
mm,
embracing it. Because what works for you is not going to work for me. It's not
mm,
going to work for Joe.
mm,
Uh, And it's like tarot cards.
mm,
Some people feel really connected to certain decks. I don't feel connected to the RWS,
mm.
the traditional one.
Get
I
out.
Yeah,
Oh dear.
everybody, unsubscribe and all that stuff. I have an appreciation for it,
Mm,
and I understand it. The images don't do as much for me
mm. Yeah.
as some. So,
No.
but that's the thing. You figure out what works for you and what gives you that oomph to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beth asked a question. Did Jung's work with tarot kind of legitimize it for therapy use, or was he considered a little too out there for the field of psychology? So not really.
I mean, I said I can't remember if it was when I was talking to Simon, but we didn't learn, not that I can recall, we didn't learn a lot about Jung on my psychology training. I'm reading a book on him at the moment, one of those, the short, very short introduction to books. And it was funny because actually I saw a YouTube video a couple of weeks ago from a psychologist who I think had been kind of ridiculed a bit for talking about tarot, and she was saying Jung used tarot with his and he encouraged his clients to use it. Tarot is psychology. Tarot is about psychological concepts. It's about universal life themes. It is, it's things that we can all relate to at some time or another. But yeah, I don't know. I need to read. I mean, I'm still reading the book. It'd be interesting if the book comments on whether Jung was seen as a bit unconventional at the time.
What little I know about Jung is, yes, he was seen as unconventional as and as a contemporary to Freud. And I believe Benabel Wynn has an incredible video talking about these two and the psychology in it, I believe, because then there was also, she linked to some other things. There are so many different types of therapy that work for people and some that don't. So
yeah.
But yes, I think he was out there. Liz said, magical thinking rarely works. Works. You have to go through it, and it takes time. I will also add to that is magical thinking combined with magical work combined with working, that actually, for me, has been very beneficial. That idea of it's, and by magical, I'll just say spiritual things that I need to do to help my soul. And I think a balance is really very important. So, okay. I think magical thinking is one of the first steps to help set goals. They have to do the work. Yes.
Yeah, I think what bothers me is when I hear people say you just have to do the magical thinking and that's it. And I think magical thinking can inspire. I definitely, and I use I've used visualization in the past without really being aware of that's what I'm doing. It might be visualizing passing an exam or something like that. But that's inspired me to sort of put the work in to kind of study for the exam, But for me, there has to be some doing, not just sitting back and waiting for.
Yes. The universe is not a cosmic cash register that just, dulls out everything that we want. Yeah. I do think, however, if we do the work associated with the things that we want, then we have more opportunity to do the things we want.
Yeah.
Like attracts like. So Tony said, I find Joe Desperenza's book Becoming Supernatural absolutely fascinating in concept, but cannot accept it as the be-all concept. Have either of you read it? I have not.
Not heard of that one.
I have not. So
I can't expand my reading list anymore at the moment.
Yeah.
I've got about 10
gosh.
books on my pile.
Yeah. And I actually think that's something that I've done for my well-being is I pick a word of the year that I want to focus on. And so I keep it when I'm feeling a little discombobulated, big word there. Ooh, $5 word, £5 word. There you go. It's a tenner. When I'm feeling that way, I will actually take a breath and go, okay, what is it? How do I apply this? And it's keeps me in check. Or no, it doesn't keep me in check. It gives me the opportunity to check myself. Go ahead.
How do you choose I've never done that, choose a word of the year. How do you go about doing that? Do you just No, go on. Yeah.
Oh no, it's there's a lot of people who do it in the beginning of the year. Everybody is doing it. I did mine. I started working on mine at Samhain, which is the witch's new year, because
Yeah.
I am practicing. But by the way, you can pick a word of the year anytime you want. You can pick a word of the day. Um, and for me, I thought about where I was and how I felt about that,
Right.
and uh, what was missing.
Yeah.
And so I used that. I did do some tarot spreads about it when I got closer, when I narrowed down, okay, my word of the year is intention. So what is my intention about this? My intention with doing this working towards well-being conversation with you is to spread some awareness for people, to give some people some support so they don't feel like they are alone, and they may be inspired to pay attention to their well-being. Now, for me, I also made it okay for me to, if I press pause long enough to think about what my intention is, I can still do whatever I wanted, even though it doesn't go with my intention. I go into it aware, and that's a
Yeah.
big thing. That was a big thing for me in my Gestalt training, was awareness. What's going on
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
So, did I answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Um, and so I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years, and it's actually quite nice. Last year was the word step, as in the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one
Yeah.
step, and so I kept track of lots of things, and it really helped. So
Yeah.
um, Jane said, I am reading Born to Win. um, I think that some tenets of manifesting can help, but you do have to look for opportunities and grab them. Yep. Archetypes are very powerful. Ah, Justin
Hi,
Michael,
Justin.
thank you. It's a great little book. Young, a very
Mm.
short introduction. Justin Michael, uh, on his channel, has done a lot of stuff. He likes Jung, and so Jung used I Ching more,
Mm.
but he was fascinated with the tarot. Yes. Um, so this is good. Justin, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. I bought the series on Amazon to watch on Prime, and I see it also on YouTube. I don't know which one. Um, so Jung was a colleague of Freud. They ended up having major disagreements and parted ways. Imagine that. Yes. So surprise. So, um, so just popping in for a bit. Yes, I sense that they were talking about yes, yes, yes. And Young and the Tarot by Sally Nichols, and Tarot for Yourself by Mary Kager. I
Mm.
love Tarot for Yourself. Gee, would it surprise you that I happen to have a copy of it right here?
Just are they
Shh.
exercises? Oh, yeah, workbook.
Yes, it's a workbook. And by the way, I had mine bound. This is there are more recent editions, but it's a great way to, there are exercises for you to look at the cards, understand them, and to understand yourself in them. And again, this is, I think, the newest edition, has some updates, and it would be a great. It's a book that I recommend to people who are looking
Mm.
for tarot. So, um, well-being is actually my word for this year. That's wonderful, Pamela. And Pamela, I'd love to know what you're doing to help your well-being. And I think some of the questions Freud was a bit of a blackhead. Oh, very elitist.
What?
Yeah. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
So, yeah, I had to get it spiral bound because I knew it was like going. I was going to use it.
Mm.
Pamela was talking about the series Power of Myth with Joseph Campbell.
The book is amazing.
Yes.
I've read the book.
Yeah. Just go to your local print shop. They can usually do that for you inexpensively. Richie is here,
Hi,
Longman
Richie.
Tarot. And Richie was also one of the people who was involved with Working Towards Wellbeing last year. And it is actually the Working Towards Wellbeing that connected me with Richie.
Oh.
And so for that, I am extremely grateful. And so there, the rest is history. So, and okay, so we have got, okay, so here's the definition of well-being from the Oxford English Dictionary, second edition. Well-being, noun, the state of being or doing well in life, happy, healthy, or prosperous condition, moral or physical welfare of a person or community. Can't argue with that, right? Well, you can. It's not
I'm not
going
going
to
to argue with
help.
the dictionary.
Yes, yes. I am a person who I used to work in a library. I like books. I don't read a lot, but it makes me feel very comfortable to have access to all of that information.
Hmm.
It's really good. So the first question is, and people in chat are welcome to share. Joe, what is one thing for which you are grateful?
I was thinking about this question, and it was really hard to answer it, because there are lots of things I'm grateful for, and I don't want to go off too much on a tangent.
Oh, go
but
on a tangent. Go.
Well, what I was gonna say was that a few years ago, I started doing a gratitude practice where I'd write down every day 5 things I was grateful for. But what happened was it started to feel a bit kind of, I was going through the motions with it. It wasn't really connecting. I was just kind of repeating myself a lot, and I kind of gave it up. Whereas these days, gratitude for me tends to come about more from sort of taking a step back and thinking about things from a different perspective. Like, I'll share I'll share this. We're trying to grow some vegetables. We had a bit of a disaster the other day. The greenhouse
Hmm.
fell over. It was just a rickety
Oh
kind of
no.
plasticky thing, and all the plants fell out. And I was so worried that these plants were going to die. And then, we repotted them, and I thought, you know what? If this is the worst thing about my day today, that I had to repot some plants, then I'm doing okay in my life.
Hmm.
There are people who have got far more to worry about than me at this moment in time. So that's how, I suppose, how I sort of practice gratitude now. It's kind of, if I feel myself going into a bit of a negative um, thinking process about something that really doesn't matter, put it
Hmm.
into perspective. Um, so in terms of what I'm grateful for, I suppose it really is about, when I think about having a roof over, having a job, especially when the pandemic hit. I was very lucky I suppose I'm in a field that will always need people working in it. So I'm very
Hmm.
lucky that both me and my husband, we had jobs. I've got a roof over my head. I've got food. I don't have to worry about too much in the grand scheme of things. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's hard to be grateful for one thing, but I'm a lot more appreciative, I think, now of what I do have, because I think I'm just more mindful about it. I think that's what's really helped.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Um, and I think I want to share with this is, this is a very potent question, isn't it? It can be, I'm grateful for having learned to read so that I can keep up with chat. It can also be as simple of, I'm really grateful for this cup of coffee that I have because it tastes really nice. And I'm enjoying that. I am also grateful for Jeffrey, my fiance, who has come into my life with the wonderful ability to let me be where I am, and so that I feel supported.
Mm.
And um, I did in 2021, I did the hashtag gratitude challenge. Jen's Science to Soul Tarot
Oh
and
yeah.
Transformation started that. I actually ended up doing that for like 36 weeks.
Wow.
And it was really interesting to stick with it that long
Mm.
because the cards that came up, some of them were difficult, and it gave me the opportunity to look a little deeper at them
Mm.
and to see things that I may not be willing to see.
Yeah.
So, all right.
You're right,
Yeah.
actually, because I did the gratitude challenge this year. I was a bit late. I think it was just after I'd sort of come onto YouTube that I saw it, and actually using the tarot just added such another. It stopped it being, oh, let's make a list of, you know, whatever,
Hmm.
and the cards actually really got me thinking about those different things. Yeah, it's really good.
Yes. Yes. Pamela is working with the book Dare and practicing
Mm.
mindfulness. And so thank you, Richie. I'm grateful for that as well. And just catching up, seeing Chris is grateful for Mr. Sandy, his husband, recently married, lovely.
Mm.
Patrice is so grateful for this community, and of course, my beloved Vernetta. Yes, and hugs to her. Um, and Tara living with Manasa. Grateful for my family dynamic, the love and cooperation between my wife, me, and our daughter. I think that's cool. When
Mm.
you have that, that's amazing. Okay, chat jumped. Jonathan has asked question, has anyone read Tarot for Self-Care? I have not.
No. I think I might have
So
seen that book though. I'm sure someone else has talked about it. I don't know if it was Becca.
it
Mm.
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I'm
Is
writing
it
this
good,
down.
Jonathan?
Um, I'm grateful for feeling much better mentally speaking, and for everyone who has helped me through the hard times, including all of you. Lovely. A lot. Oh, that's nice. Shauna is, I'm grateful for my husband agreed to do couples counseling and is also putting in the work to heal our relationship. That's something special when you
Mm.
have somebody
Mm.
who is like, okay, let's do this. I am most grateful for my health. I feel as though it's my foundation for any movement forward, no matter what it is. Very nice. Um, yeah. I'm grateful for my husband and the life we've built together. That's nice. That's good. Gratitude is a wonderfully transformative practice. Yes, so long as it's um, there's this idea of you can be too positive and ignore the hard things, and I think that's where there's a bit of a challenge. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you're saying that, Manasa. Not saying that,
I
but
think there's a balance, isn't there, between, you know, if you're genuinely going through some hard times, and you almost like minimize that by saying, oh, but you know, I'm lucky because, which, you know, we're all lucky in different ways, aren't we? We're all,
hmm
you know, but I suppose, yeah, it's not discounting that it's okay to, I don't know, acknowledge and embrace when you're going through something difficult. You don't have to kind of put that, I don't feel anyway, you don't have to put that positive head on all the time. I don't think that's healthy.
it's yeah, I agree. It's not healthy. Heather said, grateful for to be alive, and so are my loved ones after the tragedy in Buffalo.
Mm.
I'm glad too. Pamela said, I'm grateful for having security I have in my life so I can indulge and seek my well-being. Chat just jumped. Jonathan said, gratitude is this word of the year. Joan said, I'm grateful for new friends and the possibility of doing fun things in the future. Yes. Kristen Louise, I'm grateful for my husband, Ray, my home, and my psychiatrist. Yes, it's good. Yeah, and it's like grateful for my cats too. And Justin is grateful for his cats as well.
Oh, yeah.
And okay, so I'm grateful for all for air, firstly, but also technology and the ability to find community in the world and connect with uh, rare like-minded others. Yeah. Silver Star Priestess is here. Hello.
Hi.
Planting my garden, so I can't type. Uh, love listening to you all. Grateful for each of you. Thank you. I'm grateful. Yes. Grateful for beautiful clouds. Yes. And oh, geez.
Oh.
I'm just like going, oh gosh. Well, and that's something that I've been working on. I'm working on taking compliments and things of that nature. So I'm like going, okay. Uh, so Beth said, funny, my stepmother who died at 94 said her therapist really helped her. I said, gosh, that's great. How? She said, he told me to just get over it. Now that's a different approach.
That is.
So just saw a cloud. Oh, hi, Donna. Donna is here.
Hi, Donna.
Okay. So our next question is, since we're 46 minutes into this, which is
We're
great,
doing
and
well.
I mean, this is really good. And this, I think this is a really important question. How do you know, how can you tell you need to pay attention to your well-being? Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go on. I've got it. I've got
Okay.
something in my head. I'm just trying to structure it into a sentence.
Oh, you don't have to structure it into a sentence. It can be a full-blown
Yeah.
paragraph of phrases. Yes, it can be word vomit. Word vomit is acceptable.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so over the last 2 years, I know I need to pay attention to my well-being when I'm doing random shopping late at night.
When you say
When
random, what does that involve? What are we
random,
buying?
it involves buying tarot cards because I bought
Okay.
64 tarot cards in the year
Wow.
2020. 20, that's a heck of that's far too many.
Yeah.
And things that I already had, I just either didn't know where they were, something along those lines. Um, I also know I need to pay attention to my well-being when I am not, when my dishes have not been washed. And that's
Hmm.
something that I told Jeffrey. It's like when you see that there's a stack of dishes, something's going on with me. Um, and I'll be honest, when I've gone a day or two without taking a shower, it's
Mm.
just like I'm just doing that. Now, I tend to sleep a lot. Joe and I were talking about this. I sleep to help me process things. Like when I have a tarot reading or I've read something or I've watched a very thoughtful movie, taken a class, I need to sleep. But I need a good 20-minute nap for my brain to process everything, sort it out, and let it settle.
Mm.
But I'm having a 14-hour day of sleeping. That's an indication that it's not good for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Not good for me. So, but yeah. What about you?
So yeah, I can go into like I would say I'm a typical Aries. I start things and I go diving in and go all out. And it's not to say I think I still finish quite a lot of things, but I can get into a real cycle of doing and I enjoy it. But sometimes I get so caught up in it, I don't know how to stop
Mm,
and I can tire myself out. I just immerse if I find something I really enjoy doing, I immerse myself in it. And I think that is okay. But I think there's a tipping point where it gets a bit, for me, it gets a bit unhealthy. And it's almost like everything else gets excluded. I'm just focusing on this.
yes.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know but I just think when I go past that tipping point, I need to try and rein it in so I don't end up tiring myself out. And there's, I don't know, there are some that, well, I think because of the job that I do, and my husband, because my husband's a counsellor, so we're both working in mental health, and so when we have time off or at the weekend, we don't really want to talk to people. We just want to go out into the countryside and walk and just be quiet. I don't want to talk or make small talk with people. But there are times where going out, I just don't want to do it. I just want to stay indoors. I want to be quiet. I want to be just, and if my husband wants to go out and do his photography, which is what he does, that's absolutely fine. But sometimes I just don't want to go out. I just don't want to do anything. And that feels okay. But that might just sort of tells me, okay, have this day in and enjoy that, but don't make it a habit. Don't kind of, because
Yes.
I think if it gets to being a regular thing, then something is kind of not good.
That's well said, and that's really paying attention to yourself and how
Mm,
you operate. I know I've learned to pay attention to it's like if I get a stack of notes, because I take notes. If I get a stack of notes and I start getting jittery because there's too many notes, I just need to sort through that and get
mm,
rid of that so that I have more time and space to do other things.
yeah.
And I think I'm glad to hear the two of you have figured out it's okay if you need to stay home and not be around people and he needs to go out and
Mm,
take photographs. It's okay.
yeah, yeah,
It's like no, nope, no
yeah.
worries. I think that's cool. Justin Michael said, I'm grateful for my inability to count the number of decks I purchased, um, though I accidentally left my Kickstarter open and Steven counted the number of decks I backed.
Uh-oh.
Oh, uh-oh is right. That's funny. Tara Living with Manasa said, you need to pay attention to your well-being every day. It is a part of my daily practice. I have I have relax on my daily to do work list, and also Gail, the wife, does a good job of yanking at chain. Yes, well, that's good. I mean, I highly encourage if you find somebody who notices before you, because
Mm,
actually that's something that I've learned is I'm working on this and I don't notice it when I start doing it. And if you do, here's your code word. Say this to me, and then that alerts me to go, you told him to say this to you, and you
mm.
can't get mad for him doing what you've asked him to do. So it's actually it's been really, really helpful.
Mm,
Beth said, I know I need to check in with myself when I watch hours of comedy reruns. Ask myself, why am I doing this? Sometimes it's okay that I am, sometimes it's not. Hmm. Yes.
mm,
When I start seeking out videos and articles online that I know are toxic and are going to annoy me, but I still feel drawn to go there, that's when I need to check in with myself to understand why. That's well
mm,
said, Chris. That's really very important. Uh, there are a lot of information on YouTube, and some of it is great, and some of it is crap, and some of it is just somebody trying to stir the pot.
mm,
And I have this great ability, and everybody has this ability, is you can unsubscribe, you can also block, and you can also shut down and go do something else. And that being said, sometimes, Joe, there are times when I'm watching somebody's videos and they annoy me, but they don't annoy me in that toxic way. They annoy me
mm,
because I need to think about this. Something's going
mm.
on here, and it's that's been a great
Yeah,
gift.
yeah.
Heather said, when I lose interest in my art, then I know I need to take a good look at what's going on in my life. at the moment. Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Calalis says, I disappear. I avoid everyone. I don't want to hang out. I also don't wash the dishes or myself thing. I know when I stop talking out loud to myself, and I no longer make myself laugh at things. Mm, yes.
Oh, it's
So,
just Justin's. What are your moon and rising sign? I'm Gemini moon and Aries rising. I can't remember what they mean, but I know I know that's what they are.
mm, I missed that. Thank you for that.
That's all right.
He asked just you or everybody, or both of us. I don't remember. Anyhow, okay. Sorry, Justin. So, um, all right. Um, I'm gonna
I think
take a
it's great
sip.
that people in the people in the chat know, because I think that's part of the not part of the problem solved, if you like, but kind of is. If you're aware of those signs of when your mental health is dipping, or maybe you're not feeling quite as good as you normally do, that's the point where you can, right, what do I need to do now? I suppose it's when you're not aware of it that you can kind of slip into, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah. Um, Justin said, so you are Aries Sun and Aries Rising.
yep, interesting. What does that mean? I
I
can
love
imagine
it.
him saying
It's a
interesting.
interesting. He's moving it, and he's
He knows
petting his
something I
cat.
don't. Yeah, yeah.
um, Jonathan said, when everything and everyone feels like they're rubbing me the wrong way, and I want to retreat into my hermit shell, and even art doesn't excite me, nor does any show interest me. Time for a beach.
Mm,
Yeah. By the way,
yeah.
Jonathan lives in Hawaii.
Yeah, no.
He has to travel
Amazing.
so far to get to the beach.
I mean, you just skip a few
Yeah.
seconds. That must be
Yeah.
lovely.
Chris said, I think I did a VR to this as well over a year ago, but it's interesting being here now because I can't remember how I answered the first time. I do remember you doing that, Chris. I think you may have been one of the first people to do a VR to this. Everybody is welcome to do a VR to this if you want. So, Tracy Ralph is here. Hello, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
And Indigo Chrysalis Heather is also an Aries rising too. I am a Scorpio Cancer, so I'm all water. I don't know what that means. I'm very,
Neither do
I,
I.
you know, all I know is that when people hear that, they go, "What?" It's like, oh
Get
my gosh,
away.
yeah, yeah, run away, run away. Um, Justin said, usually when we are annoyed at someone else, we are annoyed at traits we see in ourselves. Yes. Yep. Oh, Chris is here. I'm a fixed bitch. There you go. Oh, I love it. Everybody's like putting in their signs. I need to actually, this may be something because you had asked me ideas for laugh and learn. I need
Yes,
to have somebody come on and talk about astrology.
that would be, yeah, yeah.
So if anybody out there consider themselves an expert or would like to come on and talk to me about astrology, please contact me. So, you know, but yeah, because I don't know. Actually, what I'd love to do is I'd love to actually have somebody do a chart for me and then talk about it online during a live. That could be
Mm.
interesting. That could be part two. So, all right. Um, One of the other questions that we had is what does support look like for you? Because it is important when we're working towards well-being that we have awareness of when we need some support, but and support looks different for everyone.
Hmm.
So what does
Yeah.
support look like for you, Joe?
So it might sound contradictory because I work in a field where I'm encouraging people to talk, but I I don't, if I'm struggling, or I'm just kind of in a bit of a reflective space where I'm just thinking about things, I don't really like to talk to other people about it. I
Mm-hmm.
value having the space in, I know maybe it's not, I don't think it'd be healthy if I was there all the time, but just having that space in my head just to mull things over. I know my husband is there if I need to talk to him, but I think he's learned that if I want to talk to him, I will talk to him about it. I mean, it's nothing to do, the things I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, nothing to do with him, but I don't know, and I don't know if it's just because from a young age I had to. I don't really feel I had that kind of support from a young age, so I kind of learned to do it myself. But that's how I feel safe to kind of process it for myself first, and then if
Mm-hmm.
I need to kind of speak to my husband to kind of say, "Oh, I'm struggling with this." If I can't get a resolution in my head, I will speak to him, and he will just talk sense into me and say, "Look, stop being silly." And he's very he's very blunt, but in a very, he almost kind of shakes me out of if I'm going in a bit of a loop, which is really good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other support, I suppose, is just the things I do. So going out in nature is really supportive for me. My dog, bless her, my dog's really helped with my confidence around people. Weirdly enough, if we used to go out walking before we had a dog, I would quite
Mm-hmm.
dread um, sort of meeting people and having to sort of
Oh,
talk to people a
yes.
bit. But
Mm-hmm.
having a dog, the focus isn't on you, it's on the dog. So she's made it that a lot easier as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I suppose support, it's a weird thing. Support for me is space, and having that space to just be with my thoughts for a bit. And then if I need to talk about it, then my husband will talk sense into me.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. That's really nice. Yes. For me, support is somebody just holding space for me. And, this term of holding space, it feels very similar to what you're describing. Just let me be
Mm,
alone. Don't
yeah.
give me any judgment. And listen to me. Uh, because I'm a person who I want the way I'm feeling to be validated.
Mm,
And I want to feel heard. That's very, very important to me. You don't have to agree with me when I need support,
mm,
uh, um, but I need to feel heard, because at that point, when I feel heard, I physically, Joe, I can actually go. I feel myself go.
mm,
Somebody knows what I'm thinking, or they recognize how I'm feeling,
yeah.
because when that happens, I can usually sort it out myself, what's going on.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Um, and and sometimes um, I, I have been uh, all right, go ahead and share. Being vulnerable has been something that is something that I've worked on over many years, because being vulnerable and asking for help can sometimes make someone appear weak, when in
Mm,
fact it's just the opposite. Someone who
mm,
knows when they need to ask for help, or they're unsure, or they can articulate what's going on, or I'm really confused right now, I don't know what to do. I actually think that that's a stronger person, and that's much more
mm,
powerful. And I've developed relationships over the last 5 years because I've been vulnerable sooner rather than later.
yeah.
And then the relationship is built on trust and realness, instead of,
Mm,
well, I'm going to get to know somebody first for 6 months before I tell them that the way he's looking over his glasses at me annoys me. Um, but instead, when somebody says, when you look over your glasses, this is what happens. I'm okay. Now I know. and then I can do something different.
Yeah.
I feel like I went off on a little tangent there, but that's okay. It is
Yeah.
what it is, because um, I, I also have learned that when people ask for help, it gives me the opportunity to share something with them. It gives
Mm.
me, if somebody said, it's like, I know Jeffrey, when he needs time alone, he needs time alone. He does not need me sitting in the room with him, holding his hand or anything like that. I just give him the time,
Yeah.
and then he will share what it is that he wants to share when he's ready.
Yeah. I think that's really important, isn't it? That you kind of understand what each other needs. And I don't like, if I do talk to my husband about something, I don't need, and I think sometimes, bless him, he can go into a bit of wanting to solve it. And I'm like, I don't want you to
Yes.
solve it. I don't want you to do anything. I just
Hmm.
want to say what I'm struggling with. And a bit like yourself, it's hard. I find it hard to be vulnerable. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I feel it's a weakness as such. I'm not sure, but I know that um, when I was younger, I had to deal with things by myself. There wasn't that kind of, I didn't feel I had a safe space to be able to express how I felt because it wouldn't be heard. And there were times where it
Oh,
wasn't
yes.
heard. And
Hmm.
so the fear then, as I grew up, of opening up and again going through that kind of not being heard was just, I didn't want to do that again.
Hmm.
So I think that is probably still there, but again, I don't know. I still like to have the space for myself to think things through first before I kind of share
Hmm.
something. That's just
Yes.
me.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for sharing that. That's really powerful.
Mm,
I mean, it's really powerful. I'm gonna pop into chat.
mm.
We've had
Yeah, we've had a bit
we
of
yeah, we had a bit of activity, and I like how what Calla Lily said. You can't afford us, sexy chat.
we're too
um,
hot.
yeah, support for me is space. Hmm.
Mm,
And Chris has said support is someone who can listen and acknowledge, but not bring their ego into it and try and fix me or solve the issue
mm.
for me. Yes. Justin Michael headed out by Justin.
Oh, bye, Justin.
Shauna said, I've learned in couples counseling that validation is key. Shut up, listen to your partner, and clarify what they're saying. It's okay if you don't agree, but you need to validate their feelings. Yes. And and boy, I remember in the midst of my therapy at one point, somebody told me I shouldn't feel a certain way.
Mm. What, a therapist said that?
Somebody told me I shouldn't feel a
I haven't
certain
got a
way.
fan.
Yeah, but let me tell you, oh, I looked at the person and I'm like, don't you tell me how I should feel because my feelings are all valid and you are
Yeah,
less of a person because it just like it burst open and the
yeah,
person did not know what hit them. And so there you go. Because
yeah,
the way I feel is the way I feel. It's neither
yeah,
good nor bad. It just is.
yeah,
It
yeah.
just is.
I had a similar experience once. I kind of shared something to someone close to me about how I felt. Well, you don't feel like that. Well, I do actually, but that just doesn't. That just shuts people down. That's
Yes.
just,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
people.
Uh, yes. People. Lise said, I love Brene Brown's talks and
Mm,
books on shame and
yeah.
vulnerability. If you have not seen those, please watch them. They're TED Talks.
Mm,
They're what, 10 minutes long, really,
yeah,
really
that's great.
powerful, and they're so good. And just catching up. I don't even know when I need help. Clearly and ironically, I need help with this. Yes, make it safe for them to connect. And yes. Yep, same, Gerald. I need to feel heard and seen and to feel the presence of another person without judgment. No fixing, just loving presence. Yes. And vulnerability can be scary. Vulnerability is scary. Um, and when I have actually have done it, I get less scared to do it again. It's still scary, but it's like, okay. Tracy said, I agree, working through and allowing vulnerability takes the victim out of the situation. It is proactive, I think. Everyone wants to feel heard. Yes.
I remember my first
You're welcome.
experience of counselling. Oh goodness, back in 2008 was the first time I felt heard. And when I finished the sessions, I don't think I felt. Well, I think I was upset to have finished the sessions, and I kind of thought, well, I don't really know what that's done. But over the weeks that followed, something had. I don't know. I don't know if it was just that experience of being heard started something in me where I just started to think about taking more control over my life. And I want to do that. I want to go on and work in mental health. I want to do something like that where I'm helping other people, and that just started it then.
Wow. Well, I'm grateful that happened.
Yeah, so am
I mean, yeah, yeah. I
But that's
mean,
the power, isn't it, of just hearing somebody, not kind of jumping in with your own stuff, just listen. I mean, just listening. I think and that's why I think therapy, it doesn't have to be therapy, but why therapy can be so powerful.
I also think that there's a great deal of power in silence.
Yeah.
Because, and I know this is a tool. You don't need to fill space, because as I learned in my studies, sometimes you just need to be there and to look at someone and make it okay for them to continue sharing, because they are I uncover it as you are listening, and I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Really powerful. You're welcome. Jonathan, I think you got oh yeah, everybody. Thank you, Shauna. So maybe they were inadvertently the answer to the question. Maybe sexy chat is the support, what support looks like.
Maybe for
Chris,
you, Chris.
maybe for
We don't need to
you.
know.
Yeah. There are some private things and there's some public things, Chris. Well, but also, things that distract us or take us away, things that we get obsessed with, whether it be reading different things, making sure that our tarot decks are in proper order and lined up, that those can be things there. I am so far behind on chat. Yes, cultivating safe space. So many of us are guarded from experience. Yes, support. Letting me be me, all aspects and variations. Yep. Support looks like sexy chat. I hear that, Joe. I was raised by a narcissist, so I wasn't really able to ask for help. I appreciate you being honest and vulnerable.
Oh, thank you.
So, chat just jumped. When you grow up not being heard and not being safely vulnerable, it's something you have to learn as an adult, which is very difficult. Yes. Yes. Oh, Jay is here. So hello.
Hi, Jay.
I'm just catching up a chat. There's so much good stuff going on. So, yep, we got that. Okay. My my OCD and my ADHD are fighting each other. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think and we have to remember, you talked about this, everything being a spectrum. And I've learned through trial and experience of asking somebody who is in crisis, like at work, somebody who's struggling with learning something new, and I try to be really supportive to them. I developed people and I want
Mm.
them to do their best. And I would
Yeah.
ask them, what is it that you need from me to help you be okay with learning this? And I even said, and bringing questions to me when you have them sooner rather than later. And
Mm.
people were like going,
Yeah.
what do you mean? And I'm like, well, if you don't know something, I want to be that guy that you can come and ask questions of. And if nobody has ever been asked before how they can be supported, a lot of times people don't know. They've never been asked that
Yeah.
question.
Mm.
And it's like, so as humans and people who are, if you want to help somebody, stop and ask the question and then stop and listen to understand rather than listening to answer. So,
Mm.
bye, Heather.
Bye, Heather.
So, so, all right. Um, what form of divination do you use, and how does it relate to your well-being? We touched on this a little
We
bit.
did. Yeah, so I use tarot. That's the only. I've never used Lenormand or what
Hmm.
are the other ones? I've never. Yeah, so it's just tarot. Um, how does it relate to my well-being? I think I said it's just the imagery. I think I get too in my head sometimes, and the imagery just helps me tap into, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, I think because you use different parts of the brain for different things, don't you? So I don't know if it's another part of the brain which just helps me look at my question differently than if I was
Hmm.
just sitting there thinking about it. Because I just, obviously you take the meaning of the card and you sort of start trying to apply that to the question, and it just brings a different perspective. And it's just helped me. I've done journaling over the years, but I've never really kept up with it. But using tarot
Hmm.
helps me do it a lot more regularly. I write my readings down, I record them down so that I can look back on them. And even though I end up writing more than I think I will, because I just get into this kind of on this role of,
Yes.
oh, it's made me think about this. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just a space that I set out for myself to, I carve out that time to do the reading and do that
Hmm.
bit of reflective time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. How about you?
I use I use tarot. That's my primary tool. I've been recently paying attention to Oracle. And sometimes I use it for readings, like with gratitude, or I want a
Mm,
perspective about this, what's going on. And other times, it feels good just to shuffle cards and to put them in order,
mm, yeah,
because it helps me make sense of something. It's when
yeah,
everything else is crazy.
yeah,
I just need this. I want something to make sense.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh,
I do have some Oracle. I mean, I don't know why I forgot about Oracle. I do, but I think I gravitate more towards tarot. But I've done a bit of path working with the soul cards, which I found
mm-hmm,
really, really powerful.
mm-hmm,
Again, it just kind of takes me into another headspace and just
yes,
gets my imagination working, and I find that really helpful. But I don't do that as much as I probably could, so I'd like to do a bit more of that.
yeah, and it takes time. There's nothing as a quick fix. So,
Mm,
um, Lise said tarot and oracle. I'm skipping over all of the sexy chat, um, and I use tarot for self conversation and spiritual growth. It's tarot that supports me by opening self conversations so I can better support myself.
mm,
That's powerful. Yeah, just the act of shuffling cards is so calming to me. And and okay, wow.
Do you find that for you, do you find that different decks have I don't know how you would say it, but if you know, if you use different decks, do you find they give you different feels?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I pick the deck that is going to be nice and gentle.
Hmm.
And sometimes I use the deck that will slap me upside the head when and I have decks that they're going to remind me to laugh. They're going to laugh with me about this
Mm,
and go, "Well, you stupid fool. How, this is of course this is happening because this and
mm,
this." And it's like, okay.
yeah.
Um and oh, we forgot chocolate. It's a quick
Yeah.
fix, although it's temporary. I think chocolate is delightful. Jonathan uses everything,
Oh
and
wow.
I've learned, however, about chocolate is I have to be very careful of having that in the house because then I will
Mm,
really overeat, and I know enough about myself to if I want to stop doing that, um, don't have it in the house. Make it hard.
yeah.
Make it go.
Yeah.
Then I do it. So, but yeah, to I think I answered your question. Yes, I have decks that will be very kind, some that will suggest other things, some that are just blunt. And and that being said, and I would encourage everybody to do this. Of course, my word of the year is intention. My intention is to understand what's going on. I could still make the choice that it isn't the best one for me.
Mm,
But I'm doing it with an understanding. I can
mm,
uh, I can if I am hungry and I want to eat, I want to comfort food. Um, okay, I can eat one, or I can eat one serving, and then sometimes that one serving is one bag. Um,
yeah.
so, but and then it's like usually if I give myself permission to do something like that, Joe, it loses its fun
Yeah.
because I've shined
Yeah.
the light on it. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So it's like, ugh, taking away all the fun. Anyhow. So, yes, tongue-in-cheek decks are wonderful to help you put perspective on things. I adore decks that make me laugh. Just writing things down, like you were saying when reading cards,
Mm.
would be therapeutic. I think it would make sense.
I remember I did just a reading with uh, the Pagan Otherworlds probably about a month ago about, I suppose, work I'm doing on. I don't really call it divine feminine work. I did a video about it, just kind of getting in touch with more of that kind of feminine kind of archetypal stuff. And I did a reading with the Pagan Otherworlds, and it was so weird because obviously the pips, they have the scenes, don't they? But they don't have the characters in the Pagan Otherworlds. And I think I drew the world, I think the Queen of Pentacles, and then the Three of Cups, which normally would have three women in it on the traditional Rider
Hmm.
Waite, but you just have the three cups, and it was I just found that so powerful because my the work is around the feminine, and yet there's a card where three women are missing, and that just really spoke to me about the sorts of
Hmm.
things I was thinking about. And that's why I just think I believe you get the cards you need when which you draw in tarot, and we say that a lot in
Yes.
therapy as well. You get the clients you need in therapy to work with
Hmm.
because they teach you something. And I do
Hmm.
believe you just the cards you need will come up.
Yes.
um
I and there's been a lot of talk about I'm just going to jump to this one, working towards
mm,
well, anything else. There's been okay, we have Shadowland Tarot. So funny. By the
I
way,
don't know.
Joe, I am a person who acquisition is more important to me than using them. I know
Hmm.
this about myself. I am a manifester. I can, I earth what Bone Fire and Earth Flesh, that Avalon
Oh yes.
Cameron,
Yeah.
and I found out about it, and it only took me 3 weeks before I had a copy in my little hands, even though it's out of print. So I'm like, ooh, have I used it? No, but
Mm,
so it's about acquisition.
yeah.
But so conversation is so good for all of us. Thank you very much.
Mm,
Um, and little deck, yes, little friends, and sometimes the decks will go. You haven't played with me in a while. Get me out.
mm,
So well-being and this idea of being toxically positive. This is a hot topic, and
mm,
um, I think there is, for me, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is Gerald's opinion. No one else's. I think people may misunderstand what toxic positivity is. For me, it is when somebody discounts and does not acknowledge where I am,
mm.
and their immediate response is, well, let go and let God. That does not help me. That
No.
does not help anybody. I have been there have been times when people have misunderstood my positive approach as toxic positivity,
Mm,
and that's unfortunate because then I've not done a good job of making them feel heard.
mm,
That's what it tells me.
mm.
And I think it's like that idea of manifesting. I just want to manifest it. I'm not going to do any of the work.
Yeah.
I never want to discount the difficult times,
Mm,
because it's like I'm studying some Zen Buddhism,
mm.
and you have you have left and right. They both exist at the same time, and both are valid, and both are important. You have positive things that happen to you. You have challenging things that happen to you.
Yeah.
One exists. One has to exist, and so the other
The other.
exists. They
Yeah, yeah,
just exist. There's this
yeah.
weird balance, and I don't want to discount what anybody's going through. I don't want to discount what I'm going through.
Mm,
But when I give myself permission that I feel like crap and I'm very angry, and I sit with that anger for a while, it
mm,
means it's not going to consume me, because I've sat
mm.
with it. I've
Yeah,
sat across the table from it, and I'm like, going, listen up here. Or
yeah,
I listen to it and then I counteract that. So
yeah, yeah. No,
Gerald's
I
little
agree.
soapbox there.
But it is, I think it is, it's discounting, it's just sort of washing over it, isn't it, with a veil of kind of positivity that doesn't help. I mean, I did a video on it where I talked about a book where some of the stuff in it was things like, you have to forgive everybody. I don't believe you have
No,
to
you
do
don't.
that at all.
You don't have to do a damn thing.
No, I know. It was stuff like it was something about cancer, or you can think away cancer, or something like that, and that makes me angry because that could lead people down a really dangerous path of maybe not getting treatment that they might need. I don't, yeah, and I don't know, I don't know how these books get published, but
Well, I'll tell you
mm,
how they get published. You and Martin have talked about it. They get published
yeah,
because people are looking for something. They're looking for a quick
yeah,
fix, which is
yeah,
unfortunate. I've not read those books, and I'm sure some of those books will help some people. Great.
yeah,
And they're not for me. I'm not going to stop you from buying the decks or
mm,
the books. So
mm,
it's just like it's like ignoring the real issue and not validating a person when people place a blame statement on things. hmm My go-to in situation often is humor. I use it to steady myself before I face what's before me. I have to be careful with others, although so I don't sound flippant.
mm.
I understand that. I completely understand that. I sound flippant all the time, to my shame. I just tend to shoot my mouth off. Sometimes I do that. So. There's a fine line between forgiving and forgetting. My philosophy is forgiving is good for me, but don't forget.
Mm.
And
Sometimes this probably gonna sound really funny. If I don't know, if I'm struggling with something, this is if I'm on my own, this is not around other people, I sing to myself about it.
mm-hmm.
Like if I'm uh, like if I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna really muck this up, I'll just sing it, and it just takes the sting out of it. It's really fun, and it makes me laugh. And I don't know where I started doing that or why,
I
but
love that.
yeah,
That's really wonderful. That's
yeah.
really wonderful. So, wow. Anything else you want to share about well-being? I got on my little soapbox there.
No, I think people have example. I'm not singing, Tony. Nobody needs to hear that.
I have to say, Tony, that was a very good try. Um,
Yeah.
you don't have to sing, but you know.
It's yeah. I don't sing any particular tune. You know when you make up tunes, like you might whistle or hum something that doesn't even make sense. That's what I do.
Mhm. Forgiving takes the burden off me. It doesn't excuse the
Mm,
person. I no longer give them space
mm,
in my heart or a head or heart. You got a lot of
yeah.
support for this approach, Joe.
Mm.
People are loving this.
I think the forgiving thing as well. I think the problem I have with books, like the one I was talking about, was they have that statement that you must forgive everybody, and they don't explain it. So like we're talking now about how forgiving, like, and forgiveness was a really difficult word for me. Acceptance was a bit. I could kind of get on board with that one
hmm
more. But what yeah, don't like about these books is you get all these lots of these little statements, a bit like on Instagram where you get these memes or these posts which have a nice little quote that tries to encapsulate something that's really quite complex into just a soundbite, and
hmm
it just takes away all of that, everything underneath it. And that's what I don't like, because I think it's there's more to it than just what these books say. But and I think some people might miss that, and they might misconstrue that, and that's what I don't like.
Yes, I agree, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but a lot of people are going to try that singing thing. And Chris has asked me for the tiny hands
Yeah,
to
I've
like
just seen that.
put down a little bit. We'll figure it out. But with I can't keep a beat. I can hardly lip sync these days. That's how good it is. But um, Joe, thank you so very much for being here.
Oh,
This
thank you
is
for having me. Thank you for
it.
everybody here.
Yes, great chat.
Mm.
Wonderful people in chat. If you would like to do a video response, a VR to this, use the hashtag working towards well-being. The questions that we answered are in the description. And if you do post something, I will try to follow it and link it to the playlist that I have. And so I will probably use the moon, and I still prefer to use the moon, and burn my words seems to work best for me. And I actually think if you know something that works well for you, keep doing it. Don't change
Mm.
it. Why ever would you change something that's working? It's like
Mm.
that's and I mean that's important. So
Yeah.
um so thank you everybody. Joe, what do you have coming up on your channel? And by the way, this is Joe from Behind the Veil. Everybody like and subscribe to her channel. So
Well,
which
I have more videos coming up, but I have another live with a certain someone.
really? Yes.
Oh, I'm
Do
pointing the
do
wrong
we know
way.
this person? Do
We
do
might
do
do.
we? Yeah, and we're doing a deck casual next Monday at, I believe it is 7:30 your time.
Yes. Yeah.
We're talking about Murder of Crows Tarot, and
Yes.
I will be doing it. Uh, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too.
It's like yay! So, and you have more videos coming up.
Yes, more. Actually, I think I've got a video coming up on self-help books, and funny enough, and Instagram self-care. So I've got a few lined up over the coming weeks. I kind of schedule them in advance, so I'm not trying to cram them all in at once. So
Well, and I will be really honest to people. Go over to her channel, like and subscribe, click the notifications. These are short videos. They're 3, 4 minutes long, packed with information. Packed, packed. So, I mean, do it. I'm just saying, just saying. Um, so thank you, everybody. This was really great.
yeah, thank you.
And Chris, Elemental Cartomancy, said, thanks, Geraldine and Joe. Loved listening to you both. Thanks for everyone in the chat. Thanks, Sexy Jack, for giving us a laugh. So this
If we
was a
take
great.
nothing else from this discussion, it's sexy chat works.
Oh, yeah. Chris loves that deck.
Mm,
So, and lots of love for that. So, good for that. And I want to live that deck, but the cards are thick and oh, I bet love that deck. But um, thank you, Zane. So tomorrow on my channel, thank you for asking, Joan. Um, Micah and I are doing a deck casual for the Muse Tarot,
mm,
and so looking forward to that. That's tomorrow. And tomorrow I am on Jane the Seeker's channel doing readings in the morning with her, and we've got some other things to talk about. And then on Thursday, I'm supposed to be with Chris on Elemental Cartomancy. I think we're going to be having some conversation. We're not sure what we'll talk about. I'm flexible, and we'll probably do readings together. So,
cool.
um, uh, but needs the red
Yeah.
in it.
Can you get the limited edition anymore, Gerald, or is it?
I
I
don't
haven't got the
know
limited
because I
edition.
have the limited edition, and snark alert, know your limits, purchase responsibly. I don't think it's available actually.
Yeah, I can't
I
find
don't
it
think it's
anywhere.
available. So
Never mind.
Calla Lily said we should do more things.
Oh, thank you, Liz.
So if you have a topic or you want to continue this conversation, let me know
Yeah.
because surprise, I have an opinion. Um,
No.
I know it's shocking. It's shocking. But and I've really enjoyed your conversations with Martin. I think
Mm,
they're very important. Get people thinking, and I think people need to make up their own minds. In order to do that, they have to have an open mind to get more
mm,
information, but not so open it's like a colander where all
yeah.
of their smarts drop out.
Yeah.
And and I really do think well-being, it's such a fluid thing.
Mm, mm,
And just ask a question and then listen for the answer.
yeah.
And then use that information to help guide you. If
Yeah.
something works for you, I'm not going to tell you to stop doing it. And if
Mm,
I do, then tell me to shut up
yeah.
because what works for you works for you. There's the beauty and the power of it.
Yeah.
So
Self-care comes in many forms, doesn't it?
it does. And sometimes self care means just getting really angry. And oh, I love that little picture that we've seen all over where somebody is like sitting, they're under a cover or something like that.
Mm,
They're under a table and somebody's like they're depressed and somebody asked, do you need anything? No, I just want to be here. Can I get you anything? It's like, no, leave me alone. And then the person actually gets under the table with them and covers up with them just to sit there.
um, yeah.
That makes a
Yeah.
lot that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
So
There's a great video from, sorry, we're going on a bit. I
No,
can't
yeah.
remember what it's called. I think it's narrated by Brené Brown, and it's an animation of, I don't know what the two animals are, but it's talking about being in a hole. And I think one of the animals is in a hole because they're depressed, and I think the other animal comes down and sits with them in the hole. I can't remember
Yep.
what it's called, but it's about empathy. It's really nice
Hmm.
short video.
Yep. Yep. And that's exactly that. That's exactly. And Brene Brown, if you happen to be watching this, I would love to have a laugh and learn with you about that.
Get
Like
her on.
that'll happen. But Brene Brown, please contact me. But they are actually it's empathy versus sympathy.
Mm,
Thanks, Shauna. So, Brittany, but they are taking the summer off because they're working on some things. And boy, talk about some power in the ability to be transparent. And when you're struggling with
mm,
something,
mm,
boy, more organizations if they did that,
yeah,
really, really powerful.
yeah.
So, but um, let's spam her. Don't spam her. I'm like going, I already know she's watching. She's here for the fan.
She's lurking.
She's lurking. It's okay. It's okay. Thanks, Shauna. I think this is the video, empathy versus sympathy.
Ah, thank you.
So that's beautiful. But all right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And come back next week when we talk about the lovely murder of crows.
Mm,
Joe, hang
can't
out
wait.
here for just a moment and we will finish things up. And I've got to blah, 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 blah. Look at this. I'm trying to, you're all looking at my nose. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.